we're gonna finish the conic sections. And last time we talked about circle, and the equation of circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Equation of parabola, we already talked about equation of parabola in week 5. We talk about the quadratic equation, looks like this: y is linear, x is quadratic. And today we're gonna cover ellipse and hyperbola. So we're gonna go over that. So looking at the equations, we have ellipse and hyperbola. They're pretty much the same type of equations. The only difference is ellipse have plus in the middle, hyperbola has minus in the middle. That's the difference. See what's happened if you change positive to negative. The shape change. See, it's the ellipse, it's bounded area, it's like closed area. Hyperbola, it's open, so that means that the graph continue down this way. Okay, so these are the four different types of conic sections. Okay, so now let's look at the handout we have. We're going to use the formula sheet, and in the formula sheet you have equation of ellipse in the beginning, equation of hyperbola, and I'm going to go over all these equations. Okay, so now we're going to continue with number 8 in the handout, and number 8 they're asking identify the conic as a circle, parabola, ellipse, or hyperbola. So what do you think it is? I show you all the different equations. So the equation given is what? Hyperbola. Good job. It's a hyperbola because, why it's a hyperbola? Because you have minus in the middle, right? You have fraction minus fraction equals 1, and that's a hyperbola. Good job. Okay, now first we're going to talk about ellipse. So we're going to find equation of ellipse if you have given all this information. So let me explain what is ellipse and what you have in the ellipse. So when you talk about ellipse, you're going to look at this formula. You're going to look at the top of your formula sheet. So from here to here, it's ellipse. That's what you're going to look at. Okay, so now what is ellipse? The graph of the ellipse is like oval, like this. The ellipse have a center, which is the point here in the middle is the center of the ellipse. Also, we have the vertices. So these are the vertices over here. Okay, and when you connect vertex to vertex, it's called major axis. Okay, and then the perpendicular line going through the center, it's called minor axis. Okay, so the ellipse have vertices, two vertices. You have a center, you have major axis and minor axis. And also you have a focus in the ellipse. So focus, it's a point which is not in the middle. It's on the major axis. There are two focuses, this one and this one. And the focuses are very important points which help us to draw the circle. So let me share with you why you need to have the focuses, because the focuses is the point, very important points, which help us to draw ellipse. And this is how that goes. So I'm going to show you a video which shows us how to graph ellipse. Okay, so here you go. This is the video I want to share how to graph a ellipse. So if you have to graph ellipse, you're gonna need
ellipse or pin and string method. I have two drawing pins pressed into the sheet and a string attached to them. To get the pins to grip, I have placed a piece of timber between the sheet of paper and the text square drawing board. The pins are located at the focal points of the ellipse. Start at one end of the major axis with the string taut and the pencil in contact with the paper. Draw the elliptical curve. This is a very smooth way of drawing an ellipse, but not suitable for an examination situation. The string is the length of the major axis. I've moved the pins in now about 10 millimeters. Now the string comes out further, so the ellipse is going to be wider. Same length, but wider. Now that's one half of it, and the top half, and that's another ellipse done.
Okay, so everybody see how you draw the ellipse? And he's just playing with the moving the focus. So the two pins, they are located on the focuses. So if you want to draw an ellipse, you have to have where the focuses are. Okay? Everybody understand how to draw ellipse? So we need the focuses to draw the ellipse. Okay? And now let me go back to my formula sheet to explain why you need all these points, because the center and the vertices and the focuses, the major axis and the minor axis, are very important component of the formula. Okay, so let's look at the formulas now. In the formula we have what you have in the formula. We have we have center 0, 0, center H and K. So what is the difference? The difference is where the center is going to be located. Okay, so if the center is located on the 0, 0 and the origin where the x and y axes intercept, then you're going to have one of those equations with center 0, 0. If the center is located somewhere else, doesn't matter where else, like in, well, let's say 1 and 2 are the coordinates of the center, somewhere else, then you're going to use the second two equations, the second column of these equations. Okay, so that's why you have 4 equations. You have 2 equations with center 0, 0 and 2 equations with center H and K, which means something else, not 0, 0. And then you have major axis X and major axis Y. So what is the difference between those two major axes X and Y? If the major axis is X, the ellipse is going to look like this. It's going to be open horizontal. If the major axis is Y, it's going to be open vertical. It's going to be upside down. It's going to be like egg standing up. Okay, so now, if the center is 0, 0 and major axis is X, you're going to use this one. If the major axis is Y, you're going to use the second one. Major axis Y means your ellipse looks like this. So this is a vertical ellipse, open upside down. And in that ellipse, you also have center. You have major axis. Major axis is the longest one. And you have vertex up, vertex down. And then this is your minor axis. And then you have two focuses which are on the major axis. So this is where the focus 1 and focus 2 are. So you have 2 focus and 2 vertices. Okay? So this is the picture. This is how the ellipse with major axis Y is going to look like. Now, what's happening if the center is not 0, 0? Then you're going to have major axis X is this one, major axis Y is this one. So these are like 4 different equations. Depends what is your center and what is your major axis. Now, how you know what it is? It's going to say in the question, okay? And it's going to say center 0, 0 or center 2 and 3, for example. So that tells you which one of those you're going to use. Also, in the question, it's going to give you points, and from the given points, you're going to find is the major axis is X or the major axis is Y. And you know that if you look here. So major axis is X if the X coordinate is changing. Major axis is Y if the Y coordinate is changing. So if you have 2 points given, it's easy to see which coordinate is changing, okay? And we're going to do examples and you'll see how that works. But remember, whatever axis is changing, then, and then also in looking at closely to the equations, you see the equation have x and y, and you need to find a and b in these equations. Okay, so what is a and b? This is where a and b, this is where you're gonna find the information about a and b. Now c is also given sometimes. So sometimes they're not gonna give you a and b straight away. I mean, if they give you a and b, you have the equation, you're ready, right? But sometimes they're going to give you the focus. So if they give you focus, the coordinates of the focus, that's going to give you the letter C. If they give you minor axis, from the minor axis, half of it is the letter B. If they give you major axis, half of it is A. Or if they give you vertex, you're going to find A also. So if you have given focus, that gives you C. If they give you minor axis, that gives you B. Major axis and vertex give you A. And if you have C and B and you want to find A, then these are the equations to use to find A or find B, whatever you need to find, because the formulas have A and B. So if they give you A and B and you are ready to find the equation, if you don't have A and B, if you have A and C, you're going to use the formula for B. If you have B and C given, you're going to use the formula to find A. Okay? Everybody get the idea what's going on here, kind of? So let's do examples so we can see how exactly we're going to apply these formulas. And you have everything in this formula sheet. So when you do examples, you can just look at this formula sheet and get all the formulas, all the equations you need. So let's go ahead and start with number 9. And number 9 is find the equation of ellipse. The center is at the origin, right? So that means the center is 0, 0. Okay? So what that means? That means I'm going to have one of these two, right? Center 0, 0. It's given. So I'm going to have one of these two equations. Okay? Let's see what else is given. They give me major axis is 10. And major axis is focused on the x-axis. So they tell me right away, major axis is x, right? So if the major axis is x, that means I'm going to use this equation. Okay? And I'm going to copy that equation here so I can have it. So my equation is going to look like x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. So this is how my equation is going to look like. Now, I need to see how I'm going to find a and b. That's what I need to find. What is a and what is b? So let's see. From the major axis, what I can find? I can find what is my a, right? Also, what is given? The minor axis. From the minor axis, I can find what? I can find b. Okay? Do you remember what is a and b? It's right here. Half of the minor over here in the bottom. Half of the minor is b. Half of the major is a. So that's what you're using to find a. So if a is 10, what is, if the major is 10, what is a? Half of it. Okay? If the minor is 4, what is b? Half of it, right? Divide by 2. Everybody understand how I get a and b? And then what you need to do is just plug it in. What is a squared? What is b squared? If a is 5, what is a squared? 25, right? If b is 2, what is b squared? 2 times 2 is 4. And then we have everything to write down the answer. So the answer is going to look like x squared over 25 plus y squared over 4 equals 1. And that's it. So we have a squared and b squared given right away, so it's easy to do. Okay, so that's my final answer. Any questions here? Okay. Okay. So now let's go ahead and continue with number 10. So number 10 is another ellipse. So we're going to do the same. We're going to find the equation, and then it says the center is at the origin. So that means the center is 0, 0. Okay? Now, what else is given? So that means I'm going to use my equation with center 0, 0. I'm going to use the first column also, one of these two. Now, which one I'm going to use? I need to find, is it major axis X or major axis Y? So let's see what else is given. They give me the focus. So from the focus, I'm going to find C, right? And also they give me the major axis, and the major is going to give me A. So in this case, they give me A and C, okay? So what is C? C is the distance from the center to the focus. So from 0, 0 to 3, 0 is going to be, what is that? 3. From 0 to 3, the distance is 3. Now the major axis is 16. Half of 16 is 8. So that's my A. We have A, we have C. Now, I need to figure it out. What is my major axis, X or Y? How you find that? Let's look at the given points. So the given points are what we have given. We have 0, 0 and 3, 0. So I'm going to put them together under each other to see which coordinate is changing. See, the first numbers are X, the second numbers are Y. So Y stays 0, 0 for both of the points, right? So which coordinate is changing? X is changing, right? So if X is changing, that means the major axis is what? It's X or Y. X, because X is changing, okay? So now we have major axis is X, we have C, we have A, and we're going to get the same equation we're using, right? Major axis X, center 0, 0. So the equation we're using is going to be the same one, the same we used for last number 9. So I'm going to start with the equation you need to find is x squared over a squared. I'm copying the same equation. Y squared over b squared equals 1. So this is the equation this is how my answer is going to look like, right? Now I have A, I have C. How I'm going to find B? I'm going to use the formula to find B, this one. B squared is A squared minus C squared. That's what I'm using. Okay, and then plug it in the numbers I have. So I have B squared is what? 8 squared. So 8 times 8 is 64. Minus 3 times 3 is 9. And when I subtract those, I'm going to get 55. Okay, so B squared is 55. What is A squared? A is 8. 8 times 8 is 64. So I have A squared and B squared, and these are the numbers I'm going to plug it in into my formula to get my final answer. So the equation of the ellipse is going to be x squared over 64 plus y squared over 55 equals 1. So that's how we get the equation. Any questions? Everybody good? Okay, so we have one more ellipse here. We're going to go over the next one. It's another ellipse. And then the next questions are hyperbola. Okay, so let's go over the, we have one more ellipse. Okay, so we have to write the equation number 11 of ellipse with the given properties. Center at the origin, so we have another center 0, 0. So the center of the ellipse is 0, 0. The focus is 0, 8. I'm going to use the focus is 0, 8. And also they give me the vertex is 0, 9. So looking at the 3 points, like put it together in under each other, what you can tell me? Which coordinate is changing? This is x and this is y. So is it changing x or y? Which one is changing? Y, that's right. So major axis is y because the y is changing. See, this is changing. X stays 0, 0. Okay? So the major axis is y, center 0, 0. So now I need to get which equation I'm going to use. I'm going to use this one here, down here, because the major axis is y. So what is the difference between major axis x, major axis y? See, we have, if the major axis is x, and then it's above a square. Now, if the major is y, y is going to be above a square. Okay, so that's the difference. So what that means is the major axis is always above the bigger number. Keep that in mind, because the major axis is always bigger than the minor axis in the ellipse. So the equation I'm going to use for this number 11 is going to be y squared over a squared plus x squared over b squared equals 1. So when you have ellipse, always the major axis is going to be above the bigger number, and always a is bigger than b for ellipse. Okay, keep that in mind. So now let's go ahead and see what letters are given. Do you have a, b, c? What is given? So looking at my focus is given. So the focus is going to give me c, right? And the vertex is going to give me a. So C is gonna be 8 and A is gonna be 9. So what I need to find? I need to find B. Okay? And how you find B? Using the same formula here. B squared is A squared minus C squared. That's what I'm using to find B. So I'm gonna use B squared is A squared minus C squared. That's why I'm gonna plug it in. So I'm going to have a squared, 9 times 9 is 81, minus 8 times 8 is 64, okay? And that will give me my b squared. So what is b squared? 81 minus 64 is 17. So we have b squared is 17. Now what is a squared? A is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So these are my a squared and b squared. I need to plug into the formula. Okay? So remember, always a squared is bigger, or a is always bigger than b. Major is always longer than the minor axis for ellipse. It's not the same for hyperbola, but for ellipse, always the major is bigger. Okay? And then I'm ready to plug it in and get the final answer. So I have y squared over 81 plus x squared over 17 equals 1. So this is my final answer for number 11. Okay, so now we're going to take a few minutes break if you don't have questions. Any questions? Okay, so we're going to continue with hyperbola. And for hyperbola, everything pretty much is the same like ellipse. So the only difference with ellipse is you're going to look below the bottom of your formula sheet. So instead of ellipse up, you're going to look down, hyperbola. So this is what you have for hyperbola. Everything is the same idea. So you still have, this is how the graph looks like, right? You have hyperbola, looks like this, and hyperbola is the conic section. You cut the cone when it's in the same side of the center. So this is how it looks like, the graph. We have a center of the hyperbola. You have again two vertices, and you have two focuses, the focus 1 and focus 2, okay? The same way you have major axis. So the major axis is from focus to focus in this case. No, actually, I'm sorry, it's from vertex to vertex. So major axis is vertex to vertex, minor axis is perpendicular. Now in this case, it doesn't matter which one is bigger. You can have major axis smaller than the minor or bigger, doesn't matter. For ellipse, major is always bigger. For hyperbola, doesn't matter which one is bigger. So keep that in mind. So focus, vertex, and center, they're on the major axis, okay? And then what you have again, if the center is 0, 0, you have one of those two equations. If the center is h and k, means somewhere else, it's one of these equations. And again, we have whatever coordinate is changing, that's your major axis. So you pick which one of those two equations you're going to have. And then again, the information for A, B, and C is absolutely the same. So focus, you're going to give you C. Minor axis is giving you B, half of it is B. Vertex and major axis is going to give you A. So the same, this is the same like ellipse. Now, when you have given A and C, for example, and you have to find B, you're going to use one of these formulas. So the formula for A square for hyperbola is different than ellipse. So these equations are different. And the difference between equation of ellipse and hyperbola is just that negative in the middle. So hyperbola has minus in the middle, ellipse have plus in the middle. So that's the difference. And again, the rules is the same. The major axis is above the A square. See, this is y above the y square. Okay? So that's what you're gonna use. And let's start solving some problems. Number 12. So on number 12, we have given right equation of hyperbola. We have given all these 3 points. We have vertex, focuses, center. So looking at these 3 points, what is your major axis? Which coordinate is changing? Major axis X, or major axis X? That's right.
X.
Major axis, yes, good job. X, because X is changing. And also the center is 0, 0. So I'm gonna pick the right formula, right? Excuse me. So looking at my hyperbola, major axis X, center 0, 0. So this is gonna be my equation. My answer is gonna look like that. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna have here. So my answer is gonna be x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. So this is how my answer is gonna look like. So now let's see what is given. From the vertex, we're gonna get A. So what is A? 6 is the same like ellipse. From the focus, you're gonna get C. What is C?
-10.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Now, it's not negative because it's a distance. It's positive, okay? Because the distance from, always it's a distance. So the center is here. So let's see the picture, how it looks like. So we have center is here. We have vertex at 6. Center, vertex at 6. This is 0, this is 6. And you have focus at -10, right? So what is the distance? From -10 to 0, the distance is +10. So always remember, A, B, C, they're distances, and A, B, C are always positive numbers, okay? Now, the focus is at -10, but there's another focus at +10, right? Because there are two of those. There's a vertex at 6, but there's another vertex at -6, right? So this is how the picture looks like. We have center, we have two vertices with two opposite sides, 6 and -6, and you have two focuses at 10 and -10, right? So the distance from the center are always positive numbers, okay? So remember, A, B, C are always positive. So now we have A, we have C. What we need to find B for the formula, right, for the answer. So we're going to use this formula for B. C squared minus A squared, it's a different formula. So be careful when you do ellipse or hyperbola, they have different formulas. See, B squared, it's C squared minus A squared here. For the ellipse is backwards, it's A squared minus C squared. So be careful which formula you're using, okay? We're doing hyperbola, so we're going to look only in the bottom formulas. So the B squared, so let's write that. I need to find B squared. It's going to be C squared minus A squared. And this is where I'm going to plug the numbers. So what is C squared? 10 times 10, it's 100. Minus A 6 times 6 is 36. So 100 minus 36 is 64. So we have B squared is 64. What is A squared? A 6 times 6 is 36. So we have A squared, we have B squared, we're going to plug it in, we're going to get the final answer. So my final answer is going to be x squared over A squared was 36 minus y squared over B squared, it's 64 equals 1. Okay, any questions? Everybody good? Okay, let's go ahead and do number 13 the same way. So number 13 is the same way, but here we have center something else. Okay, so the same idea, but a little different. So we have center zeros, it's not 0, 0, it's H and K. So that's what you have here. The center is going to be H and K. Okay, now which one is your major axis? Which coordinate is changing, X or Y?
Both.
It couldn't be both. See, you have center at -1, so these are the points. -1 and 3, let's put it under each other so I can see. 1 and 3, 3 and 3. So these are the points. Which coordinate is changing? X, that's right. See, X is changing. Y stayed the same, 3, 3, 3. Okay? So the major axis is going to be X. Good job. Okay? So major axis X, center H and K. So that means my answer is going to look something like this. Okay? It's going to have H, it's going to have K, it's going to have A and B also. So it's going to be a little bigger formula. Okay? So let's write, I'm going to copy that, I'm going to write this here. So my answer is going to look like this. X, you know what, let me put it down so I can have room to write. So my answer is going to be X minus H squared over A squared minus Y minus K squared over B squared equals 1. So this is how my answer is going to look like. Now, we have H and K, so you can just plug it in. H is -1, right? We're going to put -1 here. And K is 3. So I'm going to replace H with -1. K is going to be 3. I have this ready. Okay, I'm going to replace H and K. I need to find what is A and B. Okay, so how I'm going to find A and B? Let's see what is given. We have given focus and vertex. So from the focus, we're going to find what letter, A, B, or C? Focus give me C. Vertex give me what? A. So vertex give me A, focus give me C. So let's go over that one more time. So this is what you have. Focus give me C. See, the focus give me C. Minor axis give me B. Vertex and major axis give me A. Okay? So keep that in mind. And now let's see what we have. We have C, we have A, we have to use the formula to find B. Now, what is A and what is C? So here we have to measure from the center. So what you do, we're gonna get only the X coordinates and you're gonna find the distance, you're gonna measure it. So let's see, we have the center, it's at -1, right? That's my center. Then I have a vertex at 1. So you know what, I need to go to 3. Let's just put, okay, so we have the center, it's at -1, that's my center. Then I have -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So this is how the scale is. So center is at -1, vertex is at 1, so this is my vertex, and the focus is at 3. Okay, so we need to find the distance. We have to count the steps now. Okay, so we have to count from the center to the vertex how many steps we have. So center to vertex, we have 1, 2 steps, right? So that's why A is gonna be 2. Everybody see that? That's right, good job. A is gonna be 2. Then from the focus to the center is gonna be C. So let's count. From the center to the focus, so you count how many steps? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means C is gonna be 4. Everybody see that? So center to focus is C, and center to vertex is A. So you count the steps, okay? So now we have A, we have C, we have to find B. And the formula to find B is the same, C squared minus A squared. So we're gonna use B squared is equal C squared minus A squared, and you're gonna plug it in. So B squared is gonna be, what is C squared? 4 times 4 is 16, minus 2 times 2 is 4. So you get B squared is 12. And now what is A squared? So B squared is 12. A squared is what? 4, that's right. So we have B squared, we have A squared. And we're gonna write the equation. So we're gonna write the final equation. The answer is gonna be, see, remember the answer always have to have X and Y, and all the other letters are gonna be replaced with numbers, okay? So my final answer is gonna be X, now minus, and minus is gonna be +1 squared over A squared is 4 minus Y minus 3 squared, and B squared is 12, equals 1. And this is my final answer. It's going to look all of this. You're going to put in your answer box. It's going to look all of this. Okay? So that's how you do number 13. So remember, when you have center not 0, 0, something else, you have to draw this little picture here to show you this one here. You need to draw that. Oops, sorry. We have to draw that so we can draw this picture so you can measure the, why is doing that now? So you can find the distance, you can count the steps, okay? So that was 13 and we have one more to go, which is, we have everything ready to given here. So find the equation of hyperbola. So that means we're gonna look at the hyperbola formula sheet. Yes, that's right. There are a lot of steps for this one, yes. So we have hyperbola. We're going to look at the bottom of the formula sheet. We have given h and k, not 0, 0, h and k. But we have given a and b. So we're just going to get the formula and plug the numbers. So the formula for hyperbola is going to be, with center h and k, is going to be x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So here we're just going to plug the numbers. We have h is 3, k is negative 5, a squared is 9, and b squared is 4. So you have everything ready to plug it in. Okay? And we're just going to rewrite it with the answer. So my answer is going to be x. Now minus, and so it's just 1 minus minus 3 squared over 9 minus y, minus and minus is plus 5 square over 4 equals 1. So that concludes the lecture for today. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
How did you know that was the major axis is x and not y?
Thank you for asking that, because now it doesn't say in this question, it doesn't say if it's x or y. That's a good question. But this is question from WebAssign, and I checked the answer and I saw that this is what they meant. So it's not specific. It should say that the major axis is x, because it's not clear. But this is the question from WebAssign, and that's what they have in mind. So it is what it is. That's why I included it here so I can show you. And I'm glad you asked. I was gonna ask how you know, but you asked me already. Good job on that. So you have to use the major axis x for this question. Okay. Any other questions? Let me know. Okay, so here we have another extra question we make up. So we need to find equation of hyperbola. And let's say the center is at negative 2 and negative 1, focus at 2, vertex at 2 and 2. So now, looking at this, we have center h and k, right? It's not 0, 0, it's h and k. Now, which one is your major axis? Which coordinate is changing, the first or the second coordinate? Y, that's right.
Y.
So that's right, major axis is y. That's correct. So major axis y, center h and k. So now I'm going to pick this equation here, right? The one down here. Major axis y, center h and k. So I'm going to copy that. So my answer is going to be like y minus k squared over a squared minus x minus h squared over b squared equals 1. Now you don't have to memorize the equations. You can just look at the formula sheet and just copy that, right? Now I have h and k already, so I can just plug that numbers. So h is gonna be, k is gonna be negative 1 here, right? And h is gonna be 2. Okay, so we're gonna have these numbers already replaced. Now we need to find a and b. So we need to draw the picture here, right? So my center is at -1. And I need to go all the way to 5. -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Need a little longer, 5. Okay, so this is what you have. You have the center is here. Oops. Hold on, it's not writing. Okay, there you go. So you have the center is at -1. The focus is at 5. And the vertex is at 2. Now we're going to count the steps. So center to vertex is what? ABC, what is it? What the vertex give me?
3.
A, that's right. It's 3, that's right. And center to focus is what letter? A, B, or C? C. Remember, focus give me C, vertex give me A. So now we need to count. We need to do the steps. We have 1, 2, 3. So A is gonna be 3. And we're gonna count from the center to the focus. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So C is gonna be 6. Okay, now let's go ahead and find B. We need to find B square, right? And what is the formula for B square? C square minus A square, right? And we're gonna plug the numbers. So B square is gonna be 6 times 6 is 36. Minus 3 times 3 is 9. So what you get? (27), right? So let's write it. B square is 27. And what is A squared? 9. Always write down A squared and B squared, that's right. A squared minus B squared, write it down, what is it? Because sometimes you get confused with C, and instead of A, you put C. So write down what is A, what is B, okay? And then you're just gonna replace those two numbers, and that's my final answer. So we're gonna get, my equation is gonna be y minus, and minus is gonna be +1 square over A square is 9 minus x minus 2 square over, this is 27, equals 1. And that's it. This is the final answer. Okay, so make sure you follow the steps and make sure you check if it's hyperbola or ellipse, what is it? Check which formula sheet you're going to look above or below. And then what is the center, what is the major axis, give you the equation. And then remember, the focus give me C, the vertex give me A. Okay, and then use the formula to find B. Okay, any questions?